In the year 2147, humanity's reach into the stars had grown far beyond what anyone once thought possible. The United Galactic Council, or UGC, had sent dozens of ships to explore the unknown corners of space. One such ship was the Aurora *, a sleek vessel filled with scientists, engineers, and explorers. Among them was Dr. Nathan Cole, a quiet man who spent most of his days studying old artifacts. He wasn't like the others on the ship. While they dreamed of adventure, Nathan preferred the calm puzzle of history. The Aurora had been traveling for months when something unusual happened. Near Proxima Centauri, one of the closest star systems to Earth, the crew detected a strange object floating in space. At first, it looked like a piece of rock, but as they got closer, they realized it was no ordinary asteroid. It shimmered faintly, its surface covered in intricate carvings that glowed softly under the ship's lights. Captain Laura Hayes ordered her crew to bring the object aboard. "Careful," she said as the team worked. "We don't know what this thing is yet." Once it was safely inside, everyone gathered around it, curious and excited. But Nathan felt something else, a deep sense of unease. The carvings reminded him of ancient symbols he'd studied back on Earth, symbols linked to myths about an advanced civilization that supposedly vanished long ago. Nathan began examining the artifact closely. Using tools designed to analyze alien materials, he carefully traced the markings. Hours passed, and finally he found something shocking. Hidden within the patterns was a message, written in a language older than any known human script. With help from the ship's computer, he translated part of it. The words sent chills down his spine. "We left Earth to survive." "What does that mean?" asked Rachel Moore, the ship's biologist, who had been watching over his shoulder. Nathan shook his head. "I'm not sure yet, but this could change everything." As if on cue, the artifact suddenly emitted a low hum. Lights flickered across its surface, and then it sent out a signal, a series of pulses directed toward a distant star system. The crew scrambled to track the destination. Their instruments pointed to a planet orbiting Epsilon Eridani, a star located just over 10 light-years away. Captain Hayes called a meeting with her senior staff. "This changes our mission," she said firmly. "We need to follow this signal and find out where it leads." Some crew members were eager to go, while others felt uneasy. Nathan stayed silent, his mind racing. Who were these people, or beings, that had left Earth so long ago? And why did they leave? Before leaving, the captain received a transmission from Earth. Senator Harold Gray, a powerful figure in the UGC, warned them to proceed with caution. "Whatever you find out there," he said, his voice cold, "remember that humanity comes first. If these returnees pose a threat, you must act decisively." The Aurora set course for Epsilon Eridani, its crew both excited and nervous. Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into something much bigger than themselves. As the ship sped through the vast emptiness of space, he stared at the artifact, wondering what secrets it still held and what dangers might await them at the end of their journey. After weeks of travel, the Aurora finally arrived at the planet orbiting Epsilon Eridani. The crew named it Eden 9 because of its lush green landscapes and shimmering blue oceans. From space, it looked like a paradise, but as they descended closer, they noticed something strange. Scattered across the surface were enormous structures made of crystal-like material. These buildings sparkled in the sunlight, giving them an otherworldly appearance. The crew landed near one of the largest structures, a towering spire that seemed to pulse with energy. As they stepped out of the ship, the air felt warm and clean, unlike anything they had experienced before. Nathan couldn't help but marvel at the beauty around him. But Captain Laura Hayes reminded everyone to stay alert. "We don't know what's waiting for us here," she said firmly. It didn't take long for them to find out. As they approached the spire, figures emerged from behind it. At first glance, they looked human: 2 arms, 2 legs, and faces similar to their own. but there was something different about them. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their movements were smooth, almost too perfect. They wore simple clothes made of flowing fabric that shimmered like the buildings around them. One of the figures stepped forward. He introduced himself as Marcus Kane. His voice was calm but carried a tone of authority. "You've come a long way," he said, looking at the crew. "We've been expecting you." This statement surprised everyone. "Expecting us?" Nathan asked, his curiosity piqued. Marcus nodded. "Your signal reached us centuries ago. We knew you would follow." Over the next few hours, Marcus explained who they were. They called themselves the Returnees, the descendants of humans who had left Earth 500,000 years ago. According to Marcus, their ancestors had abandoned Earth when they realized it was doomed to suffer endless cycles of war and destruction. Instead of staying to fix the problems, they fled into space, seeking a new beginning. The crew listened intently, though some struggled to believe him. Rachel, the biologist, asked how they could still look so much like humans after all this time. Marcus smiled faintly. "We evolved differently," he said. "Our minds grew stronger while our bodies adapted to the challenges of space. We are more than what we once were." Despite his calm demeanor, tension hung in the air. Daniel Brooks, the ship's engineer, whispered to Nathan, "This feels wrong. Why didn't they ever come back to help us?" Nathan didn't have an answer. He wanted to trust Marcus, but doubt lingered in his mind. As the day went on, the returnees showed the crew around their city. It was breathtaking. Buildings floated above the ground, supported by beams of light. Strange machines hummed quietly, performing tasks without any visible operators. The returnees used gestures and thoughts to control their environment, demonstrating powers that seemed almost magical. But not everything was peaceful. During their tour, Nathan noticed cracks in the perfection. Some of the returnees watched the crew with suspicion, whispering among themselves. When Nathan asked Marcus about it, he hesitated before answering. "Not all of us agree on how to handle your arrival," he admitted. "Some fear you'll bring the same chaos we try to escape." That night, back on the Aurora Asterisk, the crew gathered to discuss what they had learned. Laura expressed concern. "They're powerful, but they're also hiding something. We need to be careful." Nathan agreed but added, "They're still human, or at least part of our history. If we can understand them, maybe we can avoid conflict." Unbeknownst to them, trouble was already brewing. Far away, Senator Gray had received updates about Eden 9 and the returnees. Back on Earth, he began rallying support for a military response, claiming the returnees posed a threat to humanity. For now, the crew remained unaware of the storm heading their way. The next morning, Rachel Moore made a discovery that changed everything. While examining samples from Eden 9's environment, she found traces of human DNA in the soil and water. At first, she thought it was contamination from the crew, but further tests proved her wrong. The DNA matched neither the crew nor any known species on Earth. It belonged to the returnees. Rachel brought her findings to Nathan, who immediately understood their significance. "This means they really are connected to us," he said, his voice filled with awe. "They're not just distant relatives. They're our ancestors." This revelation shocked the crew. For centuries, humanity had believed it was alone in the universe. Now they were face to face with proof that their lineage stretched far beyond Earth. When Nathan shared the news with Captain Laura Hayes, she called an emergency meeting. The implications were enormous. If the returnees were truly descendants of humans, then humanity's history needed rewriting. But there was another side to this discovery, one that sparked anger rather than wonder. Back on Earth, Senator Harold Gray wasted no time using the information against the returnees. Through broadcasts across the globe, he painted them as traitors who had abandoned humanity during its darkest times. "They left us to suffer," he declared in a fiery speech. "While we fought wars, starved, and struggled to survive, they hid among the stars, growing stronger while we grew weaker. They don't deserve forgiveness. They deserve justice. His words ignited outrage. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, with people demanding action against the returnees. Some called for peace, urging humanity to see the returnees as long-lost family. Others, fueled by fear and resentment, sided with Gray, shouting slogans like Earth First and No Forgiveness for Deserters. On Eden 9, tension grew between the Aurora crew and the returnees. Marcus tried to keep things calm, but cracks began to show within his own people. A group of returnees, led by a woman named Elena Ross, openly opposed Marcus's attempts at diplomacy. Why should we trust them? Elena argued during a heated exchange. They're violent, unpredictable. Look at what they've done to their own planet. What makes you think they won't do the same here? Nathan overheard the argument and felt torn. He wanted to defend humanity, to explain how far they'd come since the days of chaos and destruction. But deep down, he knew Elena wasn't entirely wrong. Humanity had made mistakes, terrible ones, and the scars of those mistakes still lingered. Laura noticed the growing divide and decided to act. She arranged a private meeting with Marcus, hoping to bridge the gap between the two groups. "We're not perfect," she admitted, "but we're trying. And if we work together, maybe we can build something better for both of us." Marcus listened carefully, his expression unreadable. Finally, he nodded. "I want to believe you," he said quietly. "But my people, they're afraid of repeating the past." As the days passed, the situation grew more unstable. Unknown to the crew, Lieutenant Sarah Blake, one of the ship's security officers, began secretly communicating with Earth. She didn't trust the returnees and felt the crew was being naive. Using encrypted transmissions, she sent detailed reports about Eden 9's defenses and technology to Gray's office. Meanwhile, Nathan continued studying the returnees' artifacts, searching for clues about their history. What he found disturbed him. Hidden records revealed that the returnees hadn't just fled Earth. They had taken valuable resources and knowledge with them, leaving early humans struggling even more. It was a betrayal that cut deep, and Nathan knew it would only fuel humanity's anger if it became public. One evening, as Nathan sat alone in the lab, he couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Back on Earth, Gray was rallying forces for a potential attack. On Eden 9, distrust simmered beneath the surface, and aboard the Aurora, the crew was divided, unsure whether to fight or negotiate. No matter what happened next, Nathan realized the choices they made would shape the future of both species and perhaps determine whether either could survive. Daniel Brooks spent most of his time exploring the returnees' technology. As the ship's engineer, he was fascinated by how advanced their machines were. Unlike anything on Earth, these devices seemed to run on pure energy, glowing softly and humming with power. The returnees didn't use buttons or screens. They simply thought about what they wanted, and the machines obeyed. One day, while examining a strange panel embedded in the wall of one of the crystal buildings, Daniel noticed something unusual. Beneath the surface, faint symbols flickered, almost like they were waiting to be activated. He touched the panel cautiously, and it sprang to life, projecting a hologram into the air. The image showed a massive asteroid hurtling toward Earth. Below it were dates that matched records of a catastrophic event from 500,000 years ago. Daniel called Nathan over immediately. Together, they studied the hologram. It became clear that the returnees hadn't just left Earth because of war or destruction. They had fled to survive. The asteroid would have wiped out all life on the planet. But instead of staying to help early humans prepare for the impact, the returnees had taken what they needed and escaped. "This is why they left," Nathan said quietly, his voice heavy with emotion. "They saw the asteroid coming and chose themselves over us." Daniel nodded, though he felt uneasy. "But look at this," he added, pointing to another part of the hologram. It showed the returnees building ships and gathering resources that could have been used to save humanity. They didn't just leave. They took everything they could carry. The discovery weighed heavily on both men. They knew this information would only deepen the divide between humanity and the returnees. If people on Earth found out, it would confirm every accusation Senator Gray had made. The returnees weren't just distant ancestors. They were thieves who had abandoned their own kind. Later that evening, Nathan shared the findings with Captain Laura Hayes. She listened intently, her face growing darker with each word. "If this gets out," she began, trailing off, "it'll destroy any chance of peace." Before they could decide what to do, chaos erupted. Elena Ross and her followers confronted Marcus in front of the crew. "You're lying to them," Elena shouted, pointing at Nathan and Laura. "You're letting them dig into our past, exposing secrets we swore to keep hidden." Marcus tried to calm her, but Elena wasn't listening. "They'll never forgive us," she snapped. "And when they turn on us, we'll have no choice but to fight back." Tensions escalated quickly. Some returnees sided with Elena, while others stayed loyal to Marcus. The crew of the Aurora found themselves caught in the middle, unsure whom to trust. Laura ordered everyone back to the ship, fearing the situation might turn violent. That night, Nathan lay awake, thinking about the hologram and the betrayal it revealed. He couldn't stop imagining how different history might have been if the returnees had stayed to help. Would humanity have avoided centuries of suffering? Or was it inevitable? As dawn broke, Sarah Blake approached Nathan. Her expression was grim. "I've been sending reports back to Earth," she confessed. "Senator Gray knows about Eden 9's defenses. He's planning an attack." Nathan stared at her, stunned. "You betrayed us?" he asked, his voice trembling. "I didn't betray anyone," Sarah shot back. "I did what I thought was best. The returnees are dangerous, Nathan. They left us to die once. They'll do it again." Before Nathan could respond, alarms blared across the ship. A message came through from Earth. A fleet of warships was en route to Eden 9. Humanity wasn't coming to negotiate. It was coming to destroy. Laura gathered the crew immediately. "We need to warn the returnees," she said firmly. "If we don't, innocent people will die." But as they prepared to act, Nathan realized the truth. No matter what happened next, the scars of the past ran too deep. Forgiveness wouldn't come easily, not for humanity, and not for the returnees. The news of Earth's incoming fleet spread panic among the crew of the Aurora. Captain Laura Hayes knew they had little time to act. If the returnees discovered the attack, they might retaliate first, escalating the conflict into a full-scale war. But if the crew stayed silent, innocent lives on both sides would be lost. She made her decision quickly. They had to warn Marcus. Nathan and Daniel accompanied Laura to meet with Marcus in private. The air was tense as they explained the situation. At first, Marcus refused to believe them. "Why would your people do this?" he asked, his calm demeanor cracking. "We're not your enemies." "It's not about what you are," Laura replied firmly. "It's about fear. People on Earth see you as a threat, a reminder of everything they've struggled against. Senator Gray is using that fear to justify an attack." Marcus looked at Nathan, searching for confirmation. Nathan nodded reluctantly. "He's right," Nathan said. "If we don't stop this, it'll end badly for everyone." For a moment, Marcus stood frozen, processing the weight of their words. Then his expression hardened. "We can't fight a war we didn't start," he said finally. "But we won't stand by and let ourselves be destroyed either." Back on the Aurora, Sarah Blake confronted Laura. "You shouldn't have told him," she shouted, her voice shaking with anger. "Now they'll prepare for battle, and more people will die." "This isn't about sides anymore," Laura shot back. "It's about stopping a massacre. If we hadn't warned them, we'd be no better than Gray." Sarah clenched her fists but said nothing. Deep down, she knew Laura was right, but that didn't make it easier to accept. She stormed off, leaving the others to plan their next move. Meanwhile, tensions among the returnees reached a boiling point. Elena Ross argued fiercely for retaliation, urging Marcus to activate ancient defense systems hidden beneath Eden 9's surface. "We can't trust them," she insisted. "They came here to destroy us, just like their ancestors tried to destroy each other." Marcus hesitated, torn between protecting his people and avoiding bloodshed. Finally, he turned to Nathan. "Is there any way to stop this? To show them we're not their enemy?" Nathan thought carefully before answering. "There might be one chance," he said slowly. "If we disable the fleet's main weapon system, it could buy us enough time to negotiate. But someone would have to get close to the ships, and it wouldn't be safe." Laura stepped forward without hesitation. "I'll do it," she said firmly. "This is my responsibility. I brought my crew here, and I won't let this end in war." The plan was risky, but they had no other choice. Using coordinates provided by Sarah, they identified the flagship leading the fleet, a massive vessel equipped with experimental plasma cannons capable of wiping out entire cities. Laura volunteered to pilot a small shuttle toward the ship, while the rest of the crew distracted the returnees' forces from engaging too soon. As Laura launched herself into space, Nathan and Daniel worked alongside Marcus to deactivate Eden 9's defenses. They couldn't risk firing on the fleet, even in self-defense. It would only prove Gray's accusations true. The process was slow and fraught with danger, as some of Elena's followers attempted to sabotage their efforts. In orbit, Laura approached the flagship undetected. Her heart raced as she maneuvered the shuttle closer, knowing one wrong move could mean disaster. With seconds to spare, she planted a device designed to disable the plasma cannons. As the weapon powered down, alarms blared across the fleet. Back on Eden 9, Nathan watched anxiously as the returnee shields dropped. For now, the immediate threat had been neutralized, but the cost weighed heavily on everyone. Laura's sacrifice had saved countless lives, but the road ahead remained uncertain. When the dust settled, Nathan realized something important. Peace wasn't going to come easily, not after centuries of mistrust and betrayal. But maybe, just maybe, they had taken the first step toward healing the rift between two halves of the same species. The battle was over, but the scars it left behind were deep. The disabled plasma cannons on Earth's flagship had forced the fleet to retreat, giving both sides a fragile moment of peace. However, the cost of that peace weighed heavily on everyone. Captain Laura Hayes' shuttle never returned. Her sacrifice had saved countless lives, but her absence left a void in the hearts of the Aurora Asterisks crew. Nathan Cole felt the weight of responsibility more than anyone else. Laura had trusted him to find a way forward, and now it was up to him to honor her memory. He stood beside Marcus Kane as they addressed the survivors, both human and returnee, gathered in the shadow of Eden 9's glowing spires. The air was thick with tension, but also with hope. People from both sides listened quietly, their faces etched with exhaustion and sorrow. "We've lost too much already," Nathan began, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside him. "But we can't let fear and anger dictate what happens next. We're not so different, you and us. We share the same blood, the same history. If we don't work together now, everything Laura gave her life for will be meaningless." Marcus stepped forward, his glowing eyes reflecting pain and determination. "My people made mistakes," he admitted, his voice carrying across the crowd. "We ran when we should have stayed. We took what wasn't ours to take, but we can't change the past. What we can do is choose a better future for all of us." His words struck a chord. Slowly, some of the returnees lowered their weapons. Among them was Elena Ross, who had been one of the loudest voices calling for war. She looked at Marcus, then at Nathan, before finally nodding. "If this is the path you believe in," she said softly, "then I'll follow. But if humanity betrays us again—" "They won't," Nathan interrupted firmly. "Not if we hold each other accountable. Not if we build trust instead of walls." Back on Earth, Senator Harold Gray faced backlash for his role in escalating the conflict. News of Laura's bravery spread quickly, turning public opinion against him. Protesters filled the streets, holding signs that read, "No more war," and "Honor the fallen." Gray's attempts to justify the attack fell on deaf ears, and he was forced to step down from his position. On Eden 9, the process of rebuilding began. The returnees shared their technology with the humans, teaching them how to harness energy in ways they had never imagined. In return, the crew of the Aurora helped repair the damage done during the brief but devastating clash. Together, they worked to heal not just the planet, but the rift between their peoples. Nathan spent his days documenting everything: the returnees' history, their technology, and the lessons learned from their first real attempt at coexistence. He knew this story needed to be told, not just for those alive now, but for future generations. Humanity couldn't afford to repeat the mistakes of the past. One evening, as the sun set over Eden 9's shimmering landscape, Nathan found himself standing alone near the crystal spire where they had first met Marcus. The artifact that had started it all sat nearby, its faint glow a reminder of how far they had come. He thought about Laura and the others who had given their lives to make this moment possible. Marcus joined him after a while, silent at first. Then he spoke. "Do you think we can really do this? Build a world where we don't see each other as enemies?" Nathan turned to look at him, seeing not just a leader, but a man burdened by guilt and hope. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I do know one thing. We have to try. For Laura, for your people, for everyone who believes there's still good in both of us." As the stars appeared in the night sky, Nathan allowed himself a small sense of optimism. It wouldn't be easy, and the road ahead would be long and uncertain. But for the first time in 500,000 years, humanity and its ancient ancestors had taken a step toward understanding each other. And sometimes, that was enough to start something new. Months passed, and life on Eden 9 began to change. The returnees and the humans worked side by side, learning from each other in ways no one had thought possible. The returnees shared their advanced knowledge of energy and medicine, while the humans brought creativity and resilience, born from centuries of hardship. Together, they started rebuilding, not just structures, but trust. Marcus Kane stepped down as leader of the returnees, saying it was time for a new generation to guide their people. He chose Alina Ross to take his place, believing her strength and determination would help bridge the gap between the two groups. At first, Alina struggled with the responsibility, still haunted by doubts about humanity's intentions. But over time, she began to see glimpses of hope, small acts of kindness, shared laughter, and moments of genuine connection. Nathan Cole stayed on Eden 9, becoming a liaison between the humans and the returnees. His calm nature and deep understanding of both sides made him a natural choice for the role. He spent his days documenting their progress, ensuring that the lessons learned would never be forgotten. He also helped establish a council where representatives from both groups could discuss issues openly and work toward solutions together. Back on Earth, the United Galactic Council underwent major reforms. The fallout from Senator Gray's actions led to stricter regulations on military intervention and greater emphasis on diplomacy. A new leader emerged, Senator Clara Myers, a former scientist who believed in cooperation over conflict. Under her guidance, Earth began sending more envoys to Eden 9, eager to learn from the returnees' wisdom. Despite these positive changes, challenges remained. Some humans still resented the returnees, blaming them for abandoning Earth so long ago. And some returnees continued to view humanity with suspicion, fearing another betrayal. But Nathan and Alina worked tirelessly to address these concerns, encouraging open dialogue and mutual respect. One day, Nathan stood at the edge of a newly built settlement, watching as humans and returnees worked together to construct homes and farms. Children played nearby, laughing without a care in the world. It struck him how quickly the younger generation had adapted, unburdened by the prejudices of their elders. They saw only friends, not strangers. Alina walked up beside him, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think we'll ever truly be one people?" she asked quietly. Nathan smiled faintly. "I think we're already closer than we were before," he replied. "It won't happen overnight, but every step forward counts." As the weeks turned into months, signs of unity became more visible. Joint festivals celebrated the blending of cultures, with music, art, and stories exchanged freely. Scientists from both groups collaborated on projects aimed at improving life across the galaxy. Slowly but surely, the line between human and returnee began to blur. But Nathan knew the journey wasn't over. There would always be those who clung to old fears and grudges. Forgiveness wouldn't come easily, especially after 500,000 years of separation. Yet he believed that as long as people kept trying, there was hope. On a quiet evening, Nathan climbed to the top of a hill overlooking Eden 9. The sky was filled with stars, each one a reminder of how vast and unpredictable the universe was. He thought about Laura and all the others who had sacrificed everything for this fragile piece. Their courage had paved the way for something extraordinary, a chance for two halves of the same family to reunite. As he gazed upward, Nathan felt a sense of cautious optimism. The road ahead would be difficult, full of trials and uncertainties, but for the first time in a very long time, humanity and its ancient ancestors were walking it together. And sometimes, that was enough to believe in a brighter future.